Hi, I am going to show you how to use the MotionBrush class that I've written to go with the MotionSketch extension. You don't need to use the MotionSketch extension with this, and you don't actually even need to have it. But I will show you how to use the two together. And first thing you need to do is to download the MotionBrush zip package, and then once you unzip that, you'll get a COM directory. This is sort of how Actionscript classes are organized, and this particular class is Actionscript 3, so your documents will need to be Actionscript 3. So inside this COM directory, it's basically the inverse of our URL, so it's COM jar productions, and then inside that there's the display package and then the MotionBrush Actionscript file. So just put that in there with your files. I've got it in with the example files, and I'll start off, and I'm just going to grab the oval tool and draw an oval here, and then I'm going to hit F8 to convert this to a symbol. And once I've got that, and that's automatically selected for me, I'm just going to grab the MotionSketch tool, and I'm just going to do a little drawing here in real time. And you can see that gets picked up and is animated. So if I hit Command Enter here on my Mac, you'll see it there, and I've got sort of a probably a pretty high frame rate. So that's it's going pretty fast. 24, that's not bad. And so I'm going to go in here and I'll show you how to add the MotionBrush class to your symbol. So this is the symbol that we created. I'm going to say export for Actionscript, and because the item is on stage, I don't need to export in first frame. That will essentially load it before all the stuff on the stage is loaded, and that's really when you need to pull it in from Actionscript, and we don't need to pull it in from Actionscript because it's on the stage. So I'm going to type in that class path, but I'm going to use dots in between, com.jarproductions.display.motionbrush. Okay, and I'm going to hit this check, say, okay, yes, it was found. Turn off the sound, and hit OK, and it's telling me it's going to create this symbol1 class, and that's fine. That class is going to refer to this symbol, but really that symbol is kind of extending this base class, and the MotionBrush class is extending the movie clip class, so it has access to all of those methods. So now nothing changes on the stage, but when I hit Command Enter to test the movie, you can see that the symbol as it's drawn kind of persists on stage. So we're using our symbol as a paintbrush, and I can do other things to this symbol. I could, for instance, run this other command, motion blur, and I could give it a high blur and hit OK, and just test that on stage. You can see it picks up the blur to go with the motion, and I'm going to then test the movie, and you can see that blur gets painted right on, and it'll get darker and darker, or kind of more intense as it keeps going, because I don't have a stop action in there, so the file is just looping. So I am going to go through and I'll show you two other examples here. This one, what I have is, I'll pull up my layers a little bit. I have an actions layer. I've got this wipe layer, which again is just a circle, and this circle, if I select it, you'll see the motion path. It's kind of back and forth. So what I'm thinking is that this is somebody looking out their window, and they're going to be looking through a foggy window, and we're going to kind of wipe off the fog. So so I've got this image, and then underneath the image I've got this kind of foggy version of the image, so it's got a blur on it and a little bit of a kind of gray tint. So I'm going to go up here, and these are my actions, and I'm just going to comment them out for a second so you can see what it looks like without that. So you can see that's just getting painted right on there. And what I want to do is use that painting as a mask. So the first thing I need to do to actually get that to work is I need to tell this image, which I referenced as, if I select the image, you should be able to see it. Properties inspector here, called the image underscore MC, and select the wipe, and I've actually given that a name of wipe. So let me go back to the actions here. So that image MC, I have to tell Flash that I want to cache it as a bitmap so that it can do advanced masking. The mask, the canvas in here, which I'm going to call, this is the bitmap that the symbol is drawing onto, that gets created dynamically by the MotionBrush class. This already has its cache bitmap property set to true, so you don't need to worry about that. All you need to do is assign the mask property of ImageMC here to this getCanvas method. So then when I run that, what this method is doing is retrieving that bitmap canvas. So instead of using the circle as a mask, it's going to use what we're painting as a mask. So if I test the movie there, you should see that we're wiping the we're essentially wiping the clean version of the picture onto the stage. Let me run that one more time so you can see it. And if I was going to make that a lot nicer, sort of smooth out the edges, I want to give this a blur, and probably a pretty good blur. And I'm just going to check and make sure that blur goes all the way across my timeline. It should. Let me get rid of the actions panel. Yes, there it is. So let's test that. Should get a much smoother edge now. Oh, that's nice and clean. Look at that. Looks just like you're wiping a foggy window or a shower door there. Perfect. And then the last example, this is a pretty loosely drawn airplane, and I've just taken this and given this a motion path, and then I've selected, if I just select this symbol, you see it, select the tween, rather, you can see I've selected orient to path, so it's giving me all these little teeny transition keyframes to change the orientation. And then I basically copied that motion path and gave it to this smoke path, this smoke symbol, which is really just a couple little circles changing size and changing alpha. But really sloppy. If I was actually doing this for a project, I would spend a lot more time on it. But this is just to demonstrate this, that I can have animation inside this symbol and it will still get kind of drawn. So this is one thing I envision when creating this, is that it'd be kind of like skywriting. So here's just a quick and dirty version of it. So you can see if I run that again that it's picking up these different levels of alpha, and it's layering on top of it. So it allows for some pretty complex effects, and actually I didn't even run this all the way till I looked at my example. I really like this one of clearing off the fog. That works pretty well. So you can try that out, use it to do any kind of writing, any kind of drawing, wiping away, all kinds of effects.